Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to the review of another Bulova. Now, modern Bulova is like two companies in one. There's the company that produces watches like this, and that. And then there's the company that reissues models from their back catalogue like this, and today's watch, the 1973 Precisionist Jetstar, that. Which Bulova do you prefer? I think I've already made my thoughts perfectly clear. And this is a bit of an exciting one today because it's a retro reissue of a watch from 1973, 50th anniversary and all that, and it uses their high frequency, high accuracy, super smooth sweeping quartz movement. Now, I personally have no issues with quartz, but I know that some people cannot stand the single tickers. Today, they cannot complain because this precisionist movement ticks 16 times a second. So its sweep is twice as smooth as that of a Rolex or pretty much any other 4Hz automatic. Now, a big shout out to the man who has caused more divorces than any other man in Australia, DEEPAK at STARBUY, Australia's favourite and largest online watch retailer. I bought one of these from him, but he loaned me the other two, so we get to look at three instead of just one. Which of the colours do you prefer? And did I buy the wrong one? Let's flip the camera and find out. Okay, let's begin with a brief chat about price. The RRP on the regular models is $600 US. The limited edition is $700 US. On screen is the Aussie recommended retail price. But I've said it before, only a madman would pay recommended retail price for a Bulova. I paid less than 700 Aussie for the limited edition model. 5 colour versions, as you can see altogether. I have 1, 2 and 4, but not 3 or 5 on the table today. I don't think there are any bad choices though, all have their charms. As I said, I went for the limited edition one on the left. Perhaps I got that wrong though, more on that later. Packaging. This is a larger box than you would normally get because it's for the limited edition version that comes with a second strap as well as the bracelet. Bulova branded outer box, Bulova branded inner box. And then we get to the warranty card / instruction manual, which of course I have no intention of reading, so that goes to one side. But you also get this little card, specifically with the limited edition version. 1973 Jetstar 50th anniversary, add a little colour and fun to your life. Hey, who doesn't need colour and fun in their life? Limited to 7,300 pieces though. It's not particularly limited, is it? 1973 would have been limited, but 7300, no, not so much. Anyway, I agree with the claim that these watches are both colourful and fun. This one looks cracking with its silver sunburst dial and the blue and red accents. There are a heap of spare links, by the way, if you want one of these on a bracelet. I've got a 7-inch wrist, therefore this lot should comfortably accommodate an 8¼ wrist. And here is the second blue strap, the leather strap that comes as part of the package. Bulova branded, it's got that 70s kind of perforated rally look with some nice red stitching, and it's got quick release spring bars and the Bulova tuning fork logo on the high polished stainless steel buckle. So thanks to DEEPAK, I've got 3 of these on the table today. The limited edition with a silver dial and red and blue accents. This gorgeous burgundy dial stainless steel version, also on a bracelet. They actually call it Merlot, so definitely a red wine thing happening here. And how could I look at the 1973 without having a look at this one? Glorious gold tone with a mustard coloured dial, perforated brown strap with yellow stitching. Gold tone, brown, yellow, all in one watch. Tell me you're from the 1970s without telling me you're from the 1970s. I'll rotate through all 3 watches over the course of the video as appropriate. Okay, let's move on to the dimensions and specifications. They'll be broadly similar for all different versions. Now, Bulova calls this a cushion case. It's not a traditional cushion case like a Turtle or a Willard, but it does wear well. 40mm in diameter, 12.7mm thick, but with the lug-to-lug being the key at only 45mm. 20mm between the lugs, there's a 2mm taper down to the butterfly clasp mechanism on the braceleted versions. Sized up for me on the bracelet with all of those links removed, it still weighs in at 141 grams, so still a bit of a chunk to it. Leather strap, of course, considerably lighter, 74 grams. Water resistance is 50 meters from a push-pull crown. Crystal is single dome sapphire today, and the movement, Well, I'm going to make a guess shortly, but let's just call it a precisionist for now. The caseback is utterly standard, and it looks like that spec sheet is just printed on. It's the same one on all three, but the limited edition one is numbered in the centre. They describe the movement on here as high precision quartz, but they don't actually give a reference for it. Let's talk about the movement then, and let's just admire the smoothest sweep in the business. 16 ticks per second. It's almost imperceptible. Now, Bulova are somewhat vague. I suspect this is a P102, which is their standard 3-hand plus date, 8-jewel precisionist movement. In this movement, the crystal vibrates at 8 times the normal frequency for quartz, so 262 kHz rather than 32 kHz. Bulova used to claim an annual accuracy figure for this movement, but they walked that back, and they now claim plus or minus 5 seconds per month. Now, you may or may not get that accuracy from a regular single ticker, but it's nice to have a quartz here that is more accurate than your regular quartz and has that sweep. There is a bit of a price to pay though. Batteries are CR2016s. Now, that is a big chunky button battery. You would normally get a decade out of one of those in a normal 3-hand quartz movement, but because of the extra demands of the precisionist, you'll likely only get 2 years or thereabouts between changes. There's no end of life indicator either, so it will just stop on you one day. To be honest though, those are minor inconveniences, I'm sure you'll agree, as you stare hypnotised by that second hand. We'll come back to the dial, or should I say the dials, shortly. Case finish is shiny. There's a vertical brush to the mid case, but the upper lug surfaces and bezel are both high polished. There's a very small flat surface transitioning between the case and the bezel that is also brushed, but most of what you see when it's on your wrist or in your hand is high polish, so do bear that in mind. The crown is a reasonable size and features the Bulova tuning fork logo on it, and you can see from these images there's a lot of distortion from the sapphire. Much of the bracelet is also high polished. It does have articulated end links though for a great fit, especially with that short lug to lug. If you have a smaller than average wrist, this one won't be a problem for you. It's kind of a double H-link bracelet if you see what I mean. It's a fairly complex look, but only 3 pieces per link, so it doesn't quite have the complexity that the mixture of brushed and polished surfaces suggests it has. Held together by push pins, but they were good solid push pins, so no issues there. Butterfly clasp, which also features the tuning fork logo, which is nice, if somewhat redundant thanks to its location, and the watch is supplied with 2 all brushed half links, so you stand a good chance of getting a good fit. Back to the dial and hands then. All 3 feature sunburst central sections, the brand name and the movement frequency just printed on, but all indices are applied, as is the frame around the date complication at the 3 o'clock. Now the indices themselves are very cool looking in a 1970s way. The 12, 6 and 9 are larger than the rest. All are silver surrounded, but the smaller ones have silver tips, and they are 3 coloured. There's a paint strip running down the centre that matches the hands on each model. Now the hands themselves are also really cool. They're quite slim, but with the opposite colouring to the indices, if you see what I mean. There's lume on the hour hand and the minute hand, but none on that super slim, super smooth second hand. Now beyond the central sunburst section, there's a slightly recessed minute markings with encased lume spots on the 5s. All of these watches hold up very well under my macro lens. Considering the price Bulova are charging for them, or at least the price that I paid for this one, they seem very well put together. On wrist, as mentioned, they wear nicely. 45 is a short lug to lug for this style of piece. I mean, that's kind of Seiko short, and we all know how well Seikos wear. Of course, it's always best to try a watch on if you can, but I reckon 6.5 inches up to 8 inches, you should be fine with this one. Now, I picked the limited edition partly because I like the red and blue, partly because it came with the 2 strap options straight out the box. It's a high quality rally style, very much of the period, and is probably worth a fair portion of the asking price between the regular and limited models in its own right, to be honest. And it's a nice wrist roll as well, isn't it? All those shiny surfaces do play with the light noticeably, perhaps too noticeably for some, but hey, it was 1973, so it's entirely appropriate. And that's the pocket shot. I'll actually show you the gold one on leather, probably tonally matches my outfit better than the silver dial version. 140 grams on the bracelet though suggests there's plenty of weight in that bracelet itself. That helps keep it nice and balanced top to bottom, no bobble on wrist. Alright, moans and niggles. As much as I love these Bulova retro reissues, I always find 1 or 2 things to complain about. Today I have 4 niggles and 1 moan. I'll start with the niggles.
50 meters of water resistance, it's okay. 100 would have been nicer. That would have given it the forget about it all-round tooly versatility that a movement like this I think deserves. Likewise, the lume is pretty poor. It's actually better on the dial than it is on the hands, which you will soon see when I turn the speed up in this video. This was the gold one, by the way, but they're all the same. The indices are gone by the end of the test, but the hands are gone halfway through the test. Again, poor lume just blunts its capabilities as a potential all-rounder / daily wear piece. It's shiny. There are far more polished surfaces than brush surfaces on this watch, and they are prominent surfaces. So yeah, it's pretty shiny, and polished always scratches more readily than brushed. I guess that comes with the territory though, being a 70s reissue. The 70s were bling before bling was even a word. And the sapphire is clearly single dome. Some people will enjoy the distortion that comes from single dome, others will wish it had been double dome instead. But my moan today is that the quick release bracelet on the limited edition version broke at the first time of asking. As you can see here, one of the two little prongs came off. They're not screwing or anything, so I couldn't reattach it, but I was able to get the bracelet off using a spring bar removal tool. You know, I handle a lot of watches, things like this happen occasionally. I'm not suggesting that yours will break, but I'm also not suggesting that yours won't break. This one will be going back to the shop. Overall though, if you're looking to add some fun and colour into your watch collection and your life, just like the brochure says, yeah, these are both fun and they are colourful. They're actually very wearable because it's a really nice case profile. And even if you think single ticks quartz movements should all be burnt on a giant bonfire, you surely cannot object to this one. Not only is it more accurate, more robust and more reliable than your average mechanical watch, but the sweep of that second hand is also far nicer too. What do you think about the colours then? The red wine is gorgeous, but perhaps not super legible. I do really like the silver, red and blue of the limited edition, but there's just a bit of me niggling away that thinks I should have bought a 1970s watch in truly 1970s colours, those being mustard, gold and brown. Perhaps DEEPAK will do me a deal on number 2.
So there you have it. Nobody can object to the fact that this one is quartz. The objection today surely lies with the 1970s styling. Not everyone is into that look, but they're not actually that gaudy, apart from the gold one, which is deliciously gaudy. If you don't fancy this one, there are plenty of other Bulova retro reissue reviews on this channel, such as this one or that one. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you again soon.